Chapters 111 through 120 of the Egyptian Book of the Dead by E. A. Wallis Budge. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 111. In the Theban Recension, this chapter has not as yet been found. In the Sa'ite Recension, it is called the chapter of knowing the souls of pay, but an examination of the text shows that it is identical with that of chapter 108. It has no vignette. Chapter 112. Vignette: the gods Horus, hawk-headed, Meshtha, and Hapi seated. Text: another chapter of knowing the souls of pay. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: Hail, Khat, who dwelleth in Khat, in Anpet, and in the nome of Khat. Hail, ye goddesses of the chase, who dwell in the city of Pe, ye celestial lands, ye stars, and ye divine beings, who give cakes and ale. Do ye know for what reason the city of Pe hath been given unto Horus? I, even I, know, though ye know it not. Behold, Ra gave the city unto him in return for the injury in his eye, for which cause Ra said to Horus, Let me see what is coming to pass in thine eye, and forthwith he looked thereat. Then Ra said to Horus, Look at that black pig, and he looked, and straightway an injury was done unto his eye, namely, a mighty storm took place. Then said Horus unto Ra, Verily my eye seems as if it were an eye upon which Suti had inflicted a blow. And thus saying, he ate his heart. Then said Ra to those gods, Place ye him in his chamber, and he shall do well. Now the black pig was Suti, who had transformed himself into a black pig, and he it was who had aimed the blow of fire which was in the eye of Horus. Then said Ra unto those gods, The pig is an abominable thing unto Horus. Oh, but he shall do well, although the pig is an abomination unto him. Then the company of the gods, who were among the divine followers of Horus when he existed in the form of his own child, said, Let sacrifices be made to the gods of his bulls, and of his goats, and of his pigs. Now the father of Mesthi, Hapi, Tuamautef, and Qebhennuf is Horus, and their mother is Isis. Then said Horus to Ra, Give me 2 divine brethren in the city of Pe, and 2 divine brethren in the city of Nekhen, who have sprung from my body, and who shall be with me in the guise of everlasting judges. Then shall the earth blossom, and thunder clouds and rain be blotted out. And the name of Horus became Her Uachf, that is, prince of his emerald stone. I, even I, know the souls of Pe, namely Horus, Mesthi, and Hapi. Chapter 113. Vignette: the gods Horus, Tuamautef, and Qebhennuf. Text: the chapter of knowing the souls of Nekhen. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: I know the hidden things of the city of Nekhen, that is to say, the things which the mother of Horus did for him, and how she made her voice to go forth over the waters, saying, Speak ye unto me concerning the judgment which is upon me, and show me the path behind you, and let me discover it. And how Ra said, This son of Isis hath perished, and what the mother of Horus did for him when she cried out, saying, Sebek, the lord of the papyrus swamp, shall be brought to us. And Sebek fished for them, and he found them, and the mother of Horus made them to grow in the places to which they belonged. Then Sebek, the lord of his papyrus swamp, said, I went and I found the place where they had passed with my fingers on the edge of the waters, and I enclosed them in my net, and strong was that net. And Ra said, So then there are fish with the god Sebek, and he hath found the hands and arms of Horus for him in the land of fish. And that land became the land of the city of Remu, that is, fish. And Ra said, A land of the pool to this net. Then were the hands of Horus brought to him at the uncovering of his face at the festivals of the month and half month in the land of Remu. And Ra said, I give the city of Nekhen to Horus for the habitation of his 2 arms and hands, and his face shall be uncovered before his 2 hands and arms in the city of Nekhen. And I give unto his power the slaughtered beings who are in them at the festivals of the month and half month. Then Horus said, Let me carry off Tuam Mautef and Quebsenuf, and let them watch over my body, and if they are allowed to be there, then shall they be subservient to the god of the city of Nekhen. And Ra said, It shall be granted unto thee there, and in the city of Senket, that is Sadi, and there shall be done for them what hath been done for those who dwell in the city of Nekhen, and verily they shall be with thee. And Horus said, They have been with thee, and now they shall be with me, and shall hearken unto the god Suti when he calleth upon the souls of Nekhen. Grant to me that I, even I, may pass on to the souls of Nekhen, and that I may unloose the bonds of Horus. I, even I, know the souls of Nekhen, namely, Horus, Tuamautef, and Quebsenuf. Chapter 114. Vignette: 3 ibis-headed gods. In the Sa'ite Recension, the deceased is standing with both hands raised in adoration before the gods Thoth, Sa, and Tem. Text: the chapter of knowing the souls of Kemenu, Hermopolis. The goddess Maat is carried by the arm at the shining of the goddess Neith in the city of Mentchat, and at the shining of the eye when it is weighed. I am carried over by it, and I know what it bringeth from the city of Kesi, and I will neither declare it unto men nor tell it unto the gods. I have come, being the envoy of Ra, to stablish Maat upon the arm at the shining of Neith in the city of Mentchat, and to adjudge the eye to him that shall scrutinize it. I have come as a power through the knowledge of the souls of Kemenu, Hermopolis, who love to know what ye love. I know Maat, which hath germinated, and hath become strong, and hath been judged, and I have joy in passing judgment upon the things which are to be judged. Homage to you, O ye souls of Kemenu! I, even I, know the things which are unknown on the festivals of the month and half month. Ra knoweth the hidden things of the night, and know ye that it is Thoth who hath made me to have knowledge. Homage to you, O ye souls of Kemenu, since I know you each day. Chapter 115. Vignette: in the Papyrus of Nu. This chapter has no vignette. In the Sa'ite Recension, the deceased is standing with both hands raised in adoration before the gods Ra, Shu, and Tefnut. Text: the chapter of coming forth from heaven, and of making a way through the Amenhet, and of knowing the souls of Annu. Heliopolis, the Chancellor in Chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: I have passed the day since yesterday among the great divine beings, and I have come into being along with the god Khepera. My face is uncovered before the Eye, the only One, and the orbit of the night hath been opened. I am a divine being among you. I know the souls of Annu. Shall not the god Ma pass over it as he journeyeth forward with vigor? Have I not overcome, and have I not spoken to the gods? Behold, he that is the heir of Annu hath been destroyed. I, even I, know for what reason was made the lock of hair of the man. Ra spake unto the god Amihaf, and an injury was done unto his mouth, that is to say, he was wounded in that mouth. And Ra spake unto the god Amihaf, saying, O heir of men, receive thy harpoon. And the harpoon house came into being. Behold, O god Amihaf, 2 divine brethren have come into being, that is to say, Senti Ra came into being, and Setem Ansi F came into being, and his hand stayed not, and he made his form into that of a woman with a lock of hair, which became the divine lock in Annu, and which became the strong and mighty one in this temple. And it became the strong one of Annu, and it became the heir of Ur Maat F, that is, the mighty one of the two eyes. And it became before him the god Irma of Anu. I know the souls of Anu, namely, Ra, Shu, and Tefnut. Chapter 116. Vignette: The deceased adoring three ibis-headed gods. In the Sa'ite Recension, the deceased is standing with both hands raised in adoration before the gods Thoth, Sa, and Tem. Text: Another chapter of knowing the souls of Kemenu, Hermopolis. The chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: The goddess Neith shineth in Matchat, and the goddess Maat is carried by the arm of him who eateth the eye, and who is its divine judge. And the Sem priest carrieth me over upon it. I will not declare it unto men, and I will not tell it unto the gods. I will not declare it unto men, and I will not tell it unto the gods. I have entered in being an ignorant man, and I have seen the hidden things. Homage to you, O ye gods who dwell in Kemenu. Ye know me even as I know the goddess Neith, and ye give to the eye the growth which endureth. There is joy to me at the judgment of the things which are to be judged. I, even I, know the souls of Anu. They are great at the festival of the month, and are little at the festival of the half-month. They are Thoth, the hidden one, and Sa and Tem. Rubric: if this chapter be known by the deceased, awful shall be an abomination unto him, and he shall not drink filthy water. Chapter 117. Vignette: the deceased holding a staff in his left hand, about to walk up one side of a hill of the horizon. In the Sa'ite Recension, the god Anubis is leading the deceased to a shrine which is set on a hill. Text: the chapter of receiving paths whereon to walk in Re stau. The chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: The paths which are above me lead to Re stau. I am he who is girt about with his girdle, and who cometh forth from the goddess of Ureret crown. I have come, and I have stablished things in Abtu (Abydos), and I have opened out paths in Re stau. The god Osiris hath eased my pains. I am he who maketh the waters to come into being, and who setteth his throne thereon, and who maketh his path through the funeral valley and through the great lake. I have made my path, and indeed I am Osiris. Osiris was victorious over his enemies, and the Osiris Nebket is victorious over his enemies. He hath become as one of yourselves, O ye gods. His protector is the Lord of eternity. He walketh even as ye walk. He standeth even as ye stand. He sitteth even as ye sit. And he talketh even as ye talk, in the presence of the great God, the Lord of Amentet. Chapter 118. Vignette: the deceased holding a staff in his left hand. In the Sa'ite Recension, this chapter has no vignette. Text: the chapter of coming forth from Re stau. The chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: I was born in Re stau, and splendor hath been given unto me by those who dwell in their spiritual bodies (Sahu), in the habitation where libations are made unto Osiris. The divine ministers who are in Re stau shall receive me when Osiris is led into the twofold funeral region of Osiris. O let me be a divine being whom they shall lead into the twofold funeral region of Osiris. Chapter 119. Vignette: the deceased adoring the god Osiris, who stands in a shrine. In the Sa'ite Recension, the deceased is walking away from a shrine which is set upon a hill. Text: the chapter of coming forth from Re stau. The chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: I am the great god who maketh his light. I have come to thee, O Osiris, and I offer praise unto thee. I am pure from the issues which are carried away from thee. Thy name is made in Re stau, and thy power is in Abtu (Abydos). Thou art raised up, then, O Osiris, and thou goest round about through heaven with Ra, and thou lookest upon the generations of men. O thou one who circlest, thou Ra, behold, verily, I have said unto thee, O Osiris, I am the spiritual body of the god, and I say, let it come to pass that I shall never be repulsed before thee, O Osiris. The following is the chapter in a fuller form, the chapter of knowing the name of Osiris, and of entering into and of going out from Re stau, in all the forms wherein he willeth to come forth. The scribe Mesem Neter, triumphant, saith, I am the great name who maketh his light. I have come to thee, O Osiris, and I offer praise unto thee. I am pure from the issues which are carried away from thee. Thy name hath been made in Re stau when it hath fallen therein. Homage to thee, O Osiris, in thy strength and in thy power. Thou hast obtained the mastery in Re stau. Thou art raised up, O Osiris, in thy might and in thy power. Thou art raised up, O Osiris, and thy might is in Re stau, and thy power is in Abtu (Abydos). Thou goest round about through heaven, and thou sailest before Ra, and thou lookest upon the generations of men. O thou being who circlest, thou Ra, behold, verily, I have said unto thee, O Osiris, I am the spiritual body of the god. And I say, let it come to pass that I shall never be repulsed before thee, O Osiris. Chapter 120. Vignette. This chapter is without a vignette, both in the Theban and Sa'ite recensions. Text. In the Sa'ite recension, this chapter is given twice. End of chapters 111 through 120. Chapters 121 through 130 of the Egyptian Book of the Dead by E. A. Wallis Budge. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapters 121 through 130. Chapter 121. Vignette. This chapter is without a vignette, both in the Theban and Sa'ite recensions. Text. In the Sa'ite recension, this chapter is given twice. Chapter 122. Vignette. The Papyrus of Nu is the only document containing the Theban recension which is known at present to give a text of this chapter, but it is without a vignette. In the Sa'ite recension, the deceased is bowing before a shrine which is set upon a hill. Text. The chapter of going in after coming forth from the underworld. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith, Open unto me. Who then art thou? Whither goest thou? What is thy name? I am one of you. Assembler of souls is the name of my boat. Making the hair to stand on end is the name of the oars. Watchful one is the name of its bows. Evil is it is the name of the rudder. Steering straight for the middle is the name of the Machabet. So likewise the boat is a type of my sailing onward to the pool. Let there be given unto me vessels of milk, together with cakes and loaves of bread, and cups of drink, and pieces of meat in the temple of Anpu, or, as others say, grant thou me these things wholly. Let it be so done unto me that I may enter in like a hawk, and that I may come forth like the Bennu bird, and like the morning star. Let me make my path so that I may go in peace into the beautiful Amentet, and let the lake of Osiris be mine. Let me make my path, and let me enter in, and let me adore Osiris, the Lord of life. Chapter 123 or 139. Vignette. The deceased or his soul standing before a palace or shrine. In the Sa'ite recension, this chapter has no vignette. Text. The chapter of entering into the great house. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith, Homage to thee, O Thoth. I am Thoth, who have weighed the two divine fighters, that is, Horus and Set. I have destroyed their warfare, and I have diminished their wailings. I have delivered the Atu fish in his turning back, and I have performed that which thou didst order concerning him, and afterwards I lay down within my eye. I am he who hath been without opposition. I have come, do thou look upon me in the temple of Nemhra, or Uhemhra. I give commands in the words of the divine aged ones, and moreover I guide for thee the lesser deities. Chapter 124. Vignette: the deceased adoring Meshtha-hapi, Tu Amalteth, and Qebhsennuf. Text: the chapter of going into the presence of the divine sovereign princes of Osiris. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: My soul hath built for me a habitation in the city of Tatu. I sow seed in the city of Pe, and I plough my field with my labourers, and for this reason my palm tree is like Amsu. That which is an abomination unto me, that which is an abomination unto me, I shall not eat. That which is an abomination unto me, that which is an abomination unto me is filth. I shall not eat thereof. By sepulchral meals and food I shall not be destroyed. The abominable thing I shall not take into my hands. I shall not walk upon it in my sandals, because my cakes are made of white grain, and my ale is made of red grain. And behold, the Sektet boat and the Matet boat bring them to me, and I eat thereof under the branches of the trees, the beautiful arms of which I know. O let splendour be prepared for me with the white crown which is lifted up upon me by the Uraei goddesses. Hail, thou guardian of the divine doors of the god Sehetep Taui, that is, he who maketh the world to be at peace. Bring thou to me that of which they make sepulchral meals. Grant thou that I may lift up the branches. May the god of light open to me his arms, and may the company of the gods keep silence, whilst the denizens of heaven talk with the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant. I am the leader of the hearts of the gods which strengthen me, and I am a mighty one among the divine beings. If any god or any goddess shall come forth against me, he shall be judged by the ancestors of the year who live upon hearts, and who make cakes for me, and Osiris shall devour him at his coming forth from Abtu Abydos. He shall be judged by the ancestors of Ra, and he shall be judged by the god of light, who clotheth heaven among the divine princes. I shall have bread in my mouth at stated seasons, and I shall enter in before the gods Ahu. He shall speak with me, and I shall speak with the followers of the gods. I shall speak with the disk, and I shall speak with the denizens of heaven. I shall put the terror of myself into the blackness of night, which is in the goddess Maert, who is near him that dwelleth in might. And behold, I shall be there with Osiris. My condition of completeness shall be his condition of completeness among the divine princes. I shall speak unto him with the words of men, and he shall repeat unto me the words of the gods. A Khu who is equipped with power shall come. I am a Khu who is equipped with power. I am equipped with the power of all the Khus, being the form of the Sahu, that is, spiritual bodies, of Anu, Tatu, Satin Benen, Abtu, Apu, and Senu. The Osiris of Alf Ankh is victorious over every god and every goddess who are hidden in Neter Kertet. Chapter 125. The 125th chapter consists of three parts: the introduction, the negative confession, and a concluding text. The introduction was said when the deceased arrived at the hall of double Maati. The negative confession was recited by him before the 42 gods who were in this hall, and the concluding text when he came into the underworld. The introduction. Vignette: the god Osiris, bearded and wearing the white crown, stands in a shrine, the roof of which is surmounted by a hawk's head and by uraei. He holds the usual emblems of sovereignty and domination. Behind him is the goddess Isis, and before him, standing upon a lotus flower, are the four children of Horus: Mestha, Hapi, Tu Amalteth, and Qebhsennuf. Vignette: Ani and his wife Thu Thu, standing with hands raised in adoration of Osiris before a table of offerings. Text: The chapter of entering into the hall of double Maati, a hymn of praise to Osiris, the governor of Amentet. Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant, saith: I have come and I have drawn nigh to see thy beauties. My hands are raised in adoration of thy name, right and truth. I came and I drew nigh unto the place where the acacia tree groweth not, where the tree thick with leaves existeth not, and where the ground yieldeth neither herb nor grass. Then I entered into the hidden place, and I spake with the god Set, and my protector advanced to me, and his face was clothed or covered, and he fell upon the hidden things. He entered into the temple of Osiris, and he looked upon the hidden things which were therein, and the sovereign chiefs of the pylons were in the form of Khus. And the god Anpu spake to those who were on both sides of him with the speech of a man as he came from Ta Mera. He knoweth our paths and our cities. I make offerings, and I smell the odor of him as if he were one among you. And I say unto him, I am Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant in peace, triumphant. I have come, and I have drawn nigh to see the great gods, and I feed upon the offerings which are among their food. I have been to the borders of the territory of Ba Neb Tetep, that is, the soul, the lord of Tatu, or Osiris, and he hath caused me to come forth like a Bennu bird, and to utter words. I have been in the water of the stream, and I have made offerings of incense. I have guided myself to the Shentet tree of the divine children. I have been in Abu, or Abu, that is, elephantine, in the temple of the goddess Satet. I have submerged the boat of mine enemies, whilst I myself have sailed over the lake in the Neshmet boat. I have seen the Sahu, that is, the spiritual bodies, in the city of Kem Ur. I have been in the city of Tatu, and I have brought myself to silence therein. I have caused the god to have the mastery over his 2 feet. I have been in the temple of Tep 2F, that is, he that is on his hill, or Anubis, and I have seen him that is lord of the divine temple. I have entered into the temple of Osiris, and I have arrayed myself in the apparel of him that is therein. I have entered into Re Stau, and I have seen the hidden things which are therein. I was shrouded therein, but I found a way for myself. I have gone into the city of An Araret, that is, the place where nothing groweth, and I covered my nakedness with the garments which were therein. There was given unto me the anti unguent, such as women use along with the powder of human beings. Verily, Sut hath spoken unto me the things which concern himself, and I said, Let thy weighing be in us. The majesty of the god Anpu saith, Knowest thou the name of this door, so as to declare it unto me? And Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant in peace, triumphant, saith, Destroyer of the god Shu is the name of this door. The majesty of the god Anpu saith, Knowest thou the name of the upper leaf and of the lower leaf? Lord of Maat, upon his 2 feet is the name of the upper leaf, and Lord of twofold strength, the subduer of cattle, is the name of the lower leaf. The majesty of the god Anpu saith, Since thou knowest, pass on, O Osiris, the scribe, the teller of the divine offerings of all the gods of Thebes, Ani triumphant, the lord of reverence. The introduction. Vignette: The deceased and his wife standing with both hands raised in adoration. Text: The following shall be said when the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief Nu, triumphant, cometh forth into the hall of double Maati, so that he may be separated from every sin which he hath done, and may behold the faces of the gods. The Osiris Nu, triumphant, saith: Homage to thee, O great God, thou Lord of double Maati. I have come to thee, O my Lord, and I have brought myself hither that I may behold thy beauties. I know thee, and I know thy name, and I know the names of the 42 gods who exist with thee in this hall of double Maati, who live as warders of sinners, and who feed upon their blood on the day when the lives of men are taken into account in the presence of the god Un Nefer. In truth, Rekti Merteneb Maati, that is, twin sisters with 2 eyes, ladies of double Maati, is thy name. In truth, I have come to thee, and I have brought Maat, that is, right and truth, to thee, and I have destroyed wickedness for thee. I have not done evil to mankind. I have not oppressed the members of my family. I have not wrought evil in the place of right and truth. I have had no knowledge of worthless men. I have not wrought evil. I have not made to be the first consideration of each day that excessive labor should be performed for me. I have not brought forward my name for exaltation to honors. I have not ill-treated servants. I have not thought scorn of God. I have not defrauded the oppressed one of his property. I have not done that which is an abomination unto the gods. I have not caused harm to be done to the servant by his chief. I have not caused pain. I have made no man to suffer hunger. I have made no one to weep. I have done no murder. I have not given the order for murder to be done for me. I have not inflicted pain upon mankind. I have not defrauded the temples of their oblations. I have not purloined the cakes of the gods. I have not carried off the cakes offered to the Khus. I have not committed fornication. I have not polluted myself in the holy places of the god of my city, nor diminished from the bushel. I have neither added to nor filched away land. I have not encroached upon the fields of others. I have not added to the weights of the scales to cheat the seller. I have not misread the pointer of the scales to cheat the buyer. I have not carried away the milk from the mouths of children. I have not driven away the cattle which were upon their pastures. I have not snared the feathered fowl of the preserves of the gods. I have not caught fish with bait made of fish of their kind. I have not turned back the water at the time when it should flow. I have not cut a cutting in a canal of running water. I have not extinguished a fire or light when it should burn. I have not violated the times of offering, the chosen meat offerings. I have not driven off the cattle from the property of the gods. I have not repulsed God in his manifestations. I am pure, I am pure, I am pure, I am pure. My purity is the purity of that great Bennu which is in the city of Sutenhenen, Heracleopolis. For behold, I am the nose of the god of the winds, who maketh all mankind to live on the day when the eye, Uchat of Ra, is full in Anu, Heliopolis, at the end of the 2nd month of the season Pert, that is, the season of growing, in the presence of the divine Lord of this earth. I have seen the eye of Ra when it was full in Anu, therefore let not evil befall me in this land and in this hall of double Maati, because I, even I, know the names of these gods who are therein, and who are the followers of the great God. The negative confession. Vignette: the hall of double Maati, that is to say, the hall of the goddesses Isis and Nephthys, who symbolize right and truth. Herein are seated or stand 42 gods, to each of whom the deceased must address a prescribed negative statement. At each end is one half of a folding door, one having the name of Neb Maat Heri Tef Retuif, and the other Neb Peti Kesu Men Menet. On the center of the roof, which has a cornice of uraei, typifying divinity, and feathers, symbolic of Maat, is a seated deity, painted bluish green, with hands extended, the right over the eye of Horus and the left over a pool. At the end of the hall are 4 small vignettes in which are depicted the Maati goddesses, each seated upon a throne and holding a scepter in her right hand and the emblem of life in her left. The deceased, arrayed in white, standing before the god Osiris with both hands raised in adoration, a balance with the heart, symbolizing the conscience of the deceased, in one scale, and the feather, emblematic of right and truth, in the other. The god Anubis is testing the tongue of the balance and Close by stands the monster Amet. Thoth, ibis-headed, seated upon a pylon-shaped pedestal, painting a large feather of Maat. Text: The scribe Nebseni, triumphant, saith: 1. Hail, thou whose strides are long, who comest forth from Anu (Heliopolis), I have not done iniquity. 2. Hail, thou who art embraced by flame, who comest forth from Kher Aba, I have not robbed with violence. 3. Hail, thou divine Nose, Fenti, who comest forth from Kemenu (Hermopolis), I have not done violence to any man. 4. Hail, thou who eatest shades, who comest forth from the place where the Nile riseth, I have not committed theft. 5. Hail, Naha Hau, who comest forth from Re stau, I have not slain man or woman. 6. Hail, thou double lying god, who comest forth from heaven, I have not made light the bushel. 7. Hail, thou whose 2 eyes are like flint, who comest forth from Sekhem Letopolis, I have not acted deceitfully. 8. Hail, thou flame, who comest forth as thou goest back, I have not purloined the things which belong unto God. 9. Hail, thou crusher of bones, who comest forth from Sutton Benin, Heracleopolis, I have not uttered falsehood. 10. Hail, thou who makest the flame to wax strong, who comest forth from Hetekapata, Memphis, I have not carried away food. 11. Hail, Kerti, that is, the 2 sources of the Nile, who come forth from Amentet, I have not uttered evil words. 12. Hail, thou whose teeth shine, who comest forth from Tashi, that is, the Fayum, I have attacked no man. 13. Hail, thou who dost consume blood, who comest forth from the house of slaughter, I have not killed the beasts which are the property of God. 14. Hail, thou who dost consume the entrails, who comest forth from the Mabit chamber, I have not acted deceitfully. 15. Hail, thou god of right and truth, who comest forth from the city of double Maati, I have not laid waste the lands which have been plowed. 16. Hail, thou who goest backwards, who comest forth from the city of Bast, Bubastis, I have never pried into matters to make mischief. 17. Hail, Aati, who comest forth from Anu Heliopolis, I have not set my mouth in motion against any man. 18. Hail, thou who art doubly evil, who comest forth from the nome of Ati, I have not given way to wrath concerning myself without a cause. 19. Hail, thou serpent Ua Memti, who comest forth from the house of slaughter, I have not defiled the wife of a man. 20. Hail, thou who lookest upon what is brought to him, who comest forth from the temple of Amsu, I have not committed any sin against purity. 21. Hail, chief of the divine princes, who comest forth from the city of Nahatu, I have not struck fear into any man. 22. Hail, Kemiu, that is, destroyer, who comest forth from the lake of Kaui, I have not encroached upon sacred times and seasons. 23. Hail, thou who orderest speech, who comest forth from Urit, I have not been a man of anger. 24. Hail, thou child, who comest forth from the lake of Hekut, I have not made myself deaf to the words of right and truth. 25. Hail, thou disposer of speech, who comest forth from the city of Unis, I have not stirred up strife. 26. Hail, Basti, who comest forth from the secret city, I have made no man to weep. 27. Hail, thou whose face is turned backwards, who comest forth from the dwelling, I have not committed acts of impurity, neither have I lain with men. 28. Hail, leg of fire, who comest forth from Akku, I have not eaten my heart. 29. Hail, Kenemti, who comest forth from the city of Kenemet, I have abused no man. 30. Hail, thou who bringest thine offering, who comest forth from the city of Sais, I have not acted with violence. 31. Hail, thou god of faces, who comest forth from the city of Techephet, I have not judged hastily. 32. Hail, thou who givest knowledge, who comest forth from Unth, I have not, and I have not taken vengeance upon the god. 33. Hail, thou lord of 2 horns, who comest forth from Satu, I have not multiplied my speech overmuch. 34. Hail, Nefertem, who comest forth from Het-ka-patah, Memphis. I have not acted with deceit, and I have not worked wickedness. 35. Hail, Temset, who comest forth from Tatu. I have not uttered curses on the king. 36. Hail, thou whose heart doth labor, who comest forth from the city of Tebti. I have not fouled water. 37. Hail, Ahi of the water, who comest forth from Nu. I have not made haughty my voice. 38. Hail, thou who givest commands to mankind, who comest forth from Sau. I have not cursed the god. 39. Hail, Neheb Nefert, who comest forth from the lake of Nefer. I have not behaved with insolence. 40. Hail, Neheb Kau, who comest forth from thy city. I have not sought for distinctions. 41. Hail, thou whose head is holy, who comest forth from thy habitations. I have not increased my wealth, except with such things as are justly mine own possessions. 42. Hail, thou who bringest thine own arm, who comest forth from Alkert, underworld. I have not thought scorn of the god who is in my city. Address to the gods of the underworld. Vignette: the deceased standing with both hands raised in adoration. Text: Then shall the heart which is righteous and sinless say. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: Homage to you, O ye gods, who dwell in the hall of double Maati. I, even I, know you, and I know your names. Let me not fall under your knives of slaughter, and bring ye not forward my wickedness unto the god in whose train ye are, and let not evil hap come upon me by your means. O declare ye me right and true in the presence of Nebertcher, because I have done that which is right and true in Tamara, Egypt. I have not cursed God, and let not evil hap come upon me through the king who dwelleth in my day. Homage to you, O ye gods, who dwell in the hall of double Maati, who are without evil in your bodies, and who live upon right and truth, and who feed yourselves upon right and truth in the presence of the god Horus, who dwelleth in his divine disk. Deliver ye me from the god Baba, who feedeth upon the entrails of the mighty ones upon the day of the great judgment. O grant ye that I may come to you, for I have not committed faults, I have not sinned, I have not done evil, I have not borne false witness, therefore let nothing evil be done unto me. I live upon right and truth, and I feed upon right and truth. I have performed the commandments of men as well as the things whereat are gratified the gods. I have made the god to be at peace with me by doing that which is his will. I have given bread to the hungry man, and water to the thirsty man, and apparel to the naked man, and a boat to the shipwrecked mariner. I have made holy offerings to the gods, and sepulchral meals to the Khus. Be ye then my deliverers, be ye then my protectors, and make ye not accusation against me in the presence of the great God. I am clean of mouth and clean of hands, therefore let it be said unto me by those who shall behold me, come in peace, for I have heard that mighty word which the spiritual bodies, Sahu, spake unto the cat in the house of Hapt Re. I have been made to give evidence before the god Raph, that is, he whose face is behind him, and he hath given a decision concerning me. I have seen the things over which the Persea tree spreadeth its branches within Re stau. I am he who hath offered up prayers to the gods, and who knoweth their persons. I have come and I have advanced to make the declaration of right and truth, and to set the balance upon what supporteth it within the region of Alkert. Hail, thou who art exalted upon thy standard, thou lord of the Atafu crown, whose name is proclaimed as the Lord of the Winds. Deliver thou me from thy divine messengers, who cause dire deeds to happen, and who cause calamities to come into being, and who are without coverings for their faces. For I have done that which is right and true for the Lord of right and truth. I have purified myself and my breast with libations, and my hinder parts with the things which make clean, and my inner parts have been in the pool of right and truth. There is no single member of mine which lacketh right and truth. I have been purified in the pool of the south, and I have rested in the northern city, which is in the field of the grasshoppers, wherein the divine sailors of Ra bathe at the second hour of the night and at the third hour of the day. And the hearts of the gods are gratified after they have passed through it, whether it be by night or whether it be by day. And they say unto me, Let thyself come forward. And they say unto me, Who then art thou? And they say unto me, What is thy name? I am he who is equipped under the flowers, and I am the dweller in his olive tree, is my name. And they say unto me straightway, Pass thou on. And I passed on by the city to the north of the olive tree. What then didst thou see there? The leg and the thigh. What then didst thou say unto them? Let me see rejoicings in those lands of the Tenku. And what did they give unto thee? A flame of fire, and a tablet or scepter of crystal. What then didst thou do therewith? I buried them by the furrow of Maat as things for the night. What then didst thou find by the furrow of Maat? A scepter of flint, the name of which is giver of winds. What then didst thou do to the flame of fire and the tablet or scepter of crystal after thou hadst buried them? I uttered words over them in the furrow, and I dug them out therefrom. I extinguished the fire, and I broke the tablet or scepter, and I created a pool of water. Come then, they say, and enter in through the door of this hall of double Maati, for thou knowest us. We will not let thee enter in through us, say the bolts of the door, unless thou tellest us our names. Tongue of the balance of the place of right and truth is your name. I will not let thee enter in by me, saith the right lintel of the door, unless thou tellest me thy name. Balance of the support of right and truth is thy name. I will not let thee enter in by me, saith the left lintel of the door, unless thou tellest me my name. Balance of wine is thy name. I will not let thee pass over me, saith the threshold of this door, unless thou tellest me my name. Ox of the god Seb is thy name. I will not open unto thee, saith the fastening of this door, unless thou tellest me my name. Flesh of his mother is thy name. I will not open unto thee, saith the socket of the fastening of the door, unless thou tellest me my name. Living eye of the god Sebek, the lord of Bakhau, is thy name. I will not open unto thee, and I will not let thee enter in by me, saith the guardian of the leaf of this door, unless thou tellest me my name. Elbow of the god Shu, when he placeth himself to protect Osiris, is thy name. We will not let thee enter in by us, say the posts of this door, unless thou tellest us our names. Children of the Uri goddesses is your name. Thou knowest us, they say. Pass on therefore by us. I will not let thee tread upon me, saith the floor of the hall of double Maati, because I am silent and I am holy, and because I do not know the names of thy 2 feet wherewith thou wouldst walk upon me. Therefore tell them to me. Traveller of the god Kaz is the name of my right foot, and staff of the goddess Hathor is the name of my left foot. Thou knowest me, it saith, pass on therefore over me. I will not make mention of thee, saith the guardian of the door of this hall of double Maati, unless thou tellest me my name. Discerner of hearts and searcher of the reins is thy name. Now will I make mention of thee to the god. But who is the god that dwelleth in his hour? Speak thou it. That is his name. Me'autaui, that is he who keepeth the record of the 2 lands, is his name. Who then is Me'autaui? He is Thoth. Come, saith Thoth. But why hast thou come? I have come, and I press forward that I may be mentioned. What now is thy condition? I, even I, am purified from evil things, and I am protected from the baleful deeds of those who live in their days, and I am not among them. Now will I make mention of thee to the god. Tell me now, who is he whose heaven is of fire, whose walls are surmounted by living uraei, and the floor of whose house is a stream of water? Who is he, I say? It is Osiris. Come forward then. Verily, thou shalt be mentioned to him. Thy cakes shall come from the Eye of Ra, and thine ale shall come from the Eye of Ra, and the sepulchral meals which shall be brought to thee upon earth shall come from the eye of Ra. This hath been decreed for the Osiris, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant. Rubric: the making of the representation of what shall happen in this hall of double Maati. This chapter shall be said by the deceased after he hath been cleansed and purified, and when he is arrayed in apparel, and is shod with white leather sandals, and his eyes have been painted with antimony, and his body hath been anointed with unguent of Anti, and when he offereth oxen and feathered fowl, and incense and cakes, and ale and garden herbs, and behold, thou shalt draw a representation of this in colour upon a new tile moulded from earth, upon which neither a pig nor other animals have trodden. And if thou doest this, book upon it in writing, the deceased shall flourish, and his children shall flourish, and his name shall never fall into oblivion, and he shall be as one who filleth, that is, satisfieth the heart of the king and of his princes. And bread and cakes and sweetmeats and wine and pieces of flesh shall be given unto him upon the altar of the great God, and he shall not be turned back at any door in Amentet, and he shall be brought in along with the kings of Upper and Lower Egypt, and he shall be in the train of Osiris continually and regularly for ever. Chapter 126. Vignette: a lake of fire, at each corner of which is seated a dog-headed ape. Text: the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, the son of the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Amen-hetep, triumphant, saith: Hail, ye 4 apes who sit in the bows of the boat of Ra, who convey right and truth to Neber Tchur, who sit in judgment on my misery and on my strength, who make the gods to rest contented by means of the flame of your mouths, and who offer holy offerings to the gods and sepulchral meals to the Khus, who live upon right and truth, and who feed upon right and truth of heart, who are without deceit and fraud, and to whom wickedness is an abomination. Do ye away with my evil deeds, and put ye away my sin, which deserves stripes upon earth, and destroy ye any evil whatsoever that belongeth unto me, and let there be no obstacle whatsoever on my part towards you. O grant ye that I may make my way through the underworld, Amahet. Let me enter into Re stau, let me pass through the hidden pylons of Amentet. O grant that there may be given to me cakes and ale and sweetmeats, even as they are given to the living Khus, and grant that I may enter in and come forth from Re stau. The 4 apes made answer, saying, Come, then, for we have done away with thy wickedness, and we have put away thy sin, along with the sin deserving of stripes which thou didst commit upon earth, and we have destroyed all the evil which belonged to thee upon the earth. Enter therefore into Re stau, and pass thou through the hidden pylons of Amentet, and there shall be given unto thee cakes and ale and sweetmeats, and shalt come forth, and thou shalt enter in at thy desire, even as do those Khus who are favoured of the god, and thou shalt be proclaimed or called each day in the horizon. Chapter 127a. Vignette: this version of the 127th chapter has not yet been found in the papyri containing the Theban Recension. In the Sa'ite Recension the deceased stands with both hands raised in adoration before a table of offerings placed in the presence of 6 gods, 3 standing upright and 3 seated, each of whom holds in his hands a flail and a scepter. The first god has the head of a bull, the second is jackal-headed, the third is snake-headed, the fourth is human-headed, the fifth is bull-headed, and the sixth is human-headed. The last 3 have feathers emblematic of right and truth on their heads. Text: the book of the praise of the gods of the Qerti, which a man shall recite when he cometh forth before them to enter in to see the god in the great temple of the underworld, and he shall say: Homage to you, O ye gods of the Qerti, ye divine dwellers in Amentet. Homage to you, O ye guardians of the doors of the underworld, who keep ward over the god, who bear and proclaim the names of those who come into the presence of the god Osiris, and who hold yourselves ready, and who praise him, and who destroy the enemies of Ra. O send ye forth your light, and scatter ye the darkness which is about you, and behold ye the holy and divine mighty one, O ye who live even as he liveth, and call ye upon him that dwelleth within his divine disk. Lead ye the king of the north and of the south, Usur Maat Ra Setep en Amen, the son of the sun, Ramzes Meri Aman Ra Bek Maat. Through your doors may his divine soul enter into your hidden places, for he is one among you, and he hath shot forth calamities upon the serpent fiend Apep, and he hath beaten down the obstacles which Apep set up in Amentet. Thy word hath prevailed mightily over thine enemies, O great God, who livest in thy divine disk. Thy word hath prevailed mightily over thine enemies, O Osiris, governor of Amentet. Thy word hath prevailed mightily over thine enemies in heaven and in earth, O thou king of the north and of the south, Usur Maat Ra Setep en Amen, the son of the sun, Ramses Meri Amen Ra Hek Maat, and over the sovereign princes of every god and of every goddess, O Osiris, governor of Amentet. He hath uttered words in the presence of the god in the valley of the dead, and he hath gained the mastery over the mighty sovereign princes. Hail, ye doorkeepers! Hail, ye doorkeepers who guard your gates, who punish souls, who devour the bodies of the dead, who advance over them at their examination in the places of destruction, who give right and truth to the soul and to the divine Khu, the beneficent one, the mighty one, whose throne is holy in Akert, who is endowed with soul like Ra, and who is praised like Osiris. Lead ye along the king of the north and of the south, Usur Maat Ra Setep en Amen, the son of the sun, Ramzes Meri Amen Ra Hek Maat. Unbolt ye for him the doors, and open ye the place of his Qerti for him. Behold, make ye his word to triumph over his enemies, and indeed let meat offerings and drink offerings be made unto him by the god of the double door, and let him put on the Nemes crown of him that dwelleth in the great and hidden shrine. Behold the image of Heru Khuti Harmachis, who is doubly true, and who is the divine soul and the divine and perfect Khu. He hath prevailed with his hands. The two great and mighty gods cry out to the king of the north and south, Usur Maat Ra Setep en Amen, the son of the sun, Ramses Meri Amen Ra Hek Maat. They rejoice in him, they sing praises to him, and clap their hands. They accord him their protection, and he liveth, the king of the north and south, Usur Maat Ra Setep en Amen, the son of the sun, Ramses Meri Amen Ra Hek Maat, riseth like a living soul in heaven. He hath been commanded to make his transformations. He hath made himself victorious before the divine sovereign chiefs, and he hath made his way through the gates of heaven and of earth and of the underworld, even as hath Ra, the king of the north and south, Usur Maat Ra Setep en Amen, the son of the sun, Ramses Meri Amen Ra Hek Maat, saith, Open unto me the gates of heaven and of earth and of the underworld, for I am the divine soul of Osiris, and I rest in him, and let me pass through their halls. Let the gods sing praises unto me when they see me. Let me enter, and let favor be shown unto me. Let me come forth, and let me be beloved, and let me go forward, for no defect or failing hath been found clinging unto me. Chapter 127b. Vignette: 16 gods in 4 groups, each containing 2 pairs. Before each group is a table of offerings. Text: Chapter to be recited on coming before the divine sovereign chiefs of Osiris to offer praise unto the gods who are the gods of the underworld. Osiris, the chief scribe and draftsman, Ptah-mes, triumphant, saith: Homage to you, O ye gods who dwell in the Qerti, ye gods who dwell in Amentet, who keep ward over the gates of the underworld, and are the guardians thereof, who bear and proclaim the names of those who come into the presence of Osiris, who praise him, and who destroy the enemies of Ra. O send forth your light, and scatter ye the darkness which is about you, and look upon the face of Osiris, O ye who live even as he liveth, and praise ye him that dwelleth in his disk, and lead ye me away from your calamities. let me come forth, and let me enter in through your secret places, for I am a mighty prince among you, for I have done away with evil there, and I have beaten down the obstacles which have been set up in Amentet. Thou hast been victorious over thine enemies, O thou that dwellest in thy disk. Thou hast been victorious over thine enemies, O Thoth, who producest statutes. Thou hast been victorious over thy enemies, O Osiris, the chief scribe and draftsman, Ptamus, triumphant. Thou hast been triumphant over thine enemies, O Osiris, thou governor of Amentet, in heaven and upon earth, in the presence of the divine sovereign chiefs of every god and of every goddess. And the food of Osiris, the governor of Amentet, is in the presence of the god whose name is hidden before the great divine sovereign chiefs. Hail, ye guardians of the doors, ye gods, who keep ward over their habitations, who keep the reckoning, and who commit souls to destruction, who grant right and truth to the divine soul which is stablished, who are without evil in the abode of Akert, who are endowed with soul even as is Ra, and who are as is Osiris. Guide ye Osiris, the chief scribe, the draftsman, Ptames, triumphant, open ye unto him the gates of the underworld, and the uppermost part of his estate and his court. Behold, make ye him to be victorious over his enemies. Provide ye him with the offerings of the god of the underworld. Make noble the divine being who dwelleth in the Nemes crown, the lord of the knowledge of Akert. Behold, stablish this soul in right and truth, and let it become a perfect soul that hath gained the mastery with its two hands. The great and mighty gods cry out, he hath gotten the victory, and they rejoice in him, and they ascribe praise unto him with their hands, and they turn unto him their faces. The living one is triumphant, and is even like a living soul dwelling in heaven, and he hath been ordered to perform his transformations. Osiris triumphed over his enemies, and Osiris, the chief scribe and draftsman, Ptames, triumphant, hath gained the victory over his enemies in the presence of the great divine sovereign chiefs who dwell in heaven, and in the presence of the great divine sovereign chiefs who dwell upon the earth. Chapter 129. Vignette: the deceased standing before a table of offerings with both hands raised in adoration in the presence of the gods Osiris, Isis, Horus, the son of Isis, and Nephthys. Text: a hymn of praise to Osiris. The Osiris Auf Ankh, triumphant, saith: Homage to thee, O Osiris Un Nefer, triumphant, thou son of Nut, thou firstborn son of Seb, thou mighty one who comest forth from Nut, thou king in the city of Nefer, thou governor of Amentet, thou lord of Abtu, Abydos, thou lord of souls, thou mighty one of strength, thou lord of the Atef crown in Sutton Benin, thou lord of the divine form in the city of Nifu thou lord of the tomb, thou mighty one of souls in Tatu, thou lord of sepulchral offerings, thou whose festivals are many in Tatu. The god Horus exalteth his father in every place or shrine, and he uniteth himself unto the goddess Isis and unto the goddess Nephthys, and the god Thoth reciteth for him the mighty glorifyings which are within him, and which come forth from his mouth, and the heart of Horus is stronger than that of all the gods. Rise up then, O Horus, thou son of Isis, and avenge thy father Osiris. Hail, O Osiris, I have come unto thee. I am Horus, and I have avenged thee, and I feed this day upon the sepulchral meals of oxen and feathered fowl, and upon all the beautiful things offered unto Osiris. Rise up, then, O Osiris, for I have struck down for thee all thine enemies, and I have taken vengeance upon them for thee. I am Horus upon this beautiful day of thy fair rising in thy soul, which exalteth thee along with itself on this day before thy divine sovereign princes. Hail, O Osiris, thy Ka hath come unto thee and is with thee, and thou resteth therein in thy name of Ka Hetep. I maketh thee glorious in thy name of Khu, and it maketh thee like unto the morning star in thy name of Pehu, and it openeth for thee the ways in thy name of Apuat. Hail, O Osiris, I have come unto thee, and I have set thine enemies under thy feet in every place, and thou art triumphant in the presence of the company of the gods and of the divine sovereign chiefs. Hail, O Osiris, thou hast received thy scepter and the place whereon thou art to rest, and thy steps are under thee. Thou bringest food to the gods, and thou bringest sepulchral meals unto those who dwell in their tombs. Thou hast given thy might unto the gods, and thou hast created the great God. Thou hast thy existence with them in their spiritual bodies. Thou gatherest thyself unto all the gods, and thou hearest the word of right and truth on the day when offerings to this God are ordered on the festivals of Uka. Chapter 129. See Chapter 100. Chapter 130. Vignette. In the Papyrus of Nu, this chapter has no vignette, but in the Sa'ite Recension the deceased is seen standing in the stern of a boat behind Ra and two other gods. Text: Another chapter of making perfect the Khu, which is to be recited on the birthday of Osiris, and of making to live the soul forever. The Chancellor in Chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: The heavens are opened, the earth is opened, the west is opened, the east is opened, the southern half of heaven is opened, the northern half of heaven is opened. The doors are opened, and the gates are thrown wide open to Ra as he cometh forth from the horizon. The Sektet boat openeth for him the double doors, and the Matet boat bursteth open for him the gates. He breatheth, and the god Shu cometh into being, and he createth the goddess Temut. Those who are in the following of Osiris follow in his train, and the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, Nu, triumphant, followeth on in the train of Ra. He taketh his iron weapon, and he forceth open the shrine even as doth Horus, and pressing onwards he advanceth unto the hidden things of his habitation with the libations of his divine shrine, the messenger of the god that loveth him. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, triumphant, bringeth forth the right and the truth, and he maketh to advance the going forward of Osiris. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, triumphant, taketh in his hands the cordage, and he bindeth fast the shrine. Storms are the things which he abominateth. Let no water flood be nigh unto him. Let not the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, triumphant, be repulsed before Ra, and let him not be made to turn back. For behold, the eye is in his two hands. Let not the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, triumphant, walk in the valley of darkness. Let him not enter into the lake of those who are evil, and let him have no existence among the damned, even for a moment. Let not the Osiris Nu fall headlong among those who would lead him captive, and let not his soul go in among them. Let his divine face take possession of the place behind the block of the god Septu. Hymns of praise be unto you, O ye divine beings of the thigh. The knives of God work in secret, and the two arms and hands of God cause the light to shine. It is doubly pleasant unto him to lead the old unto him along with the young at his season. Now behold, the god Thoth dwelleth within his hidden places, and he performeth the ceremonies of libation unto the god who reckoneth millions of years. And he maketh a way through the firmament, and he doeth away with storms and whirlwinds from his stronghold. And the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, triumphant, arriveth in the places of his habitations. O ye divine beings of the thigh, do ye away with his sorrow and his suffering and his pain, and may the sorrow of the Osiris Nu be altogether put away. Let the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, triumphant, gratify Ra. Let him make a way into the horizon of Ra. Let his boat be made ready for him. Let him sail on happily, and let Thoth put light into his heart. Then shall the Osiris Nu, triumphant, praise and glorify Ra, and Ra shall hearken unto his words, and he shall beat down the obstacles which come from his enemies. I have not been shipwrecked, I have not been turned back in the horizon, for I am Ra Osiris. And the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, shall not be shipwrecked in the great boat. Behold him whose face is in the god of the thigh, because the name of Ra is in the body of the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the Chancellor in Chief, and his honor is in his mouth. He shall speak unto Ra, and Ra shall hearken unto his words. Hymns of praise unto thee, O Ra, in the horizon, and homage unto thee, O thou that purifiest with light. the denizens of heaven, O thou who hast sovereign power over heaven at that supreme moment when the paddles of thine enemies move with thee. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant, cometh with the ordering of right and truth, for there is an iron firmament in Amentet, which the fiend Apep hath broken through with his storms before the double lying god, and this will the Osiris Nu set in order. O hearken ye, ye who dwell upon the top of the throne of majesty. The Osiris Nu shall come in among thy divine sovereign chiefs, and Ra shall deliver him from Apep each day, so that he may not come nigh unto him, and he shall make himself vigilant. The Osiris Nu shall have power over the things which are written. He shall receive sepulchral meals, and the god Thoth shall provide him with the things which should be prepared for him. The Osiris Nu maketh right and truth to go round about the bows in the great boat, and hath triumph among the divine sovereign chiefs, and he establisheth for millions of years. The divine chiefs guide him, and give unto him a passage in the boat with joy and gladness. The first ones among the company of the sailors of Ra are behind him, and he is happy. Right and truth are exalted, and they have come unto their divine Lord, and praises have been ascribed unto the god Neb-er-tcher. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant, hath taken in his hands the weapon, and he hath made his way through heaven therewith. The denizens thereof have ascribed praises unto him as unto a divine being who standeth up and never sinketh to rest. The god Ra exalteth him by reason of what he hath done, and he causeth him to make of none effect the whirlwind and the storm. He looketh upon his splendours, and he stablisheth his oars, and the boat saileth round about in heaven, rising like the sun in the darkness. Thoth, the mighty one, leadeth the Osiris Nu within his eye, and he sitteth upon his thighs in the mighty boat of Khepera. He cometh into being, and the things which he saith come to pass. The Osiris Nu advanceth, and he journeyeth round about heaven unto Amentet. The fiery deities stand up before him, and the god Shu rejoiceth exceedingly, and they take in their hands the bows of the boat of Ra along with his divine mariners. Ra goeth round about, and he looketh upon Osiris. The Osiris Nu is at peace. The Osiris Nu is at peace. He hath not been driven back. The flame of thy moment hath not been taken away from him. O Ra, the whirlwind and storm of thy mouth have not come forth against him. He hath not journeyed upon the path of the crocodile, for he abominateth the crocodile, and it hath not drawn nigh unto him. The Osiris Nu embarketh in thy boat, O Ra. He is furnished with thy throne, and he receiveth thy spiritual form. The Osiris Nu travelleth over the paths of Ra at daybreak to drive back the fiend Nebit. He cometh upon the flame of thy boat, O Ra, upon that mighty thigh. The Osiris Nu knoweth it, and he attaineth unto thy boat, and behold, he sitteth therein, and he maketh sepulchral offerings. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over a boat of the god Ra which hath been painted in colours in a pure place. And, behold, thou shalt place a figure of the deceased in the bows thereof, and thou shalt paint a Sektet boat upon the right side thereof, and an Atet boat upon the left side thereof, and there shall be made unto them offerings of bread and cakes and wine and oil, and every kind of fair offering upon the birthday of Osiris. If these ceremonies be performed, his soul shall have existence, and shall live for ever, and shall not die a second time. The following is from the rubric to this chapter in the Sa'ite Recension. He shall know the hidden things of the underworld. He shall penetrate the hidden things in Neter Kertet, the underworld. This chapter was found in the large hall of the temple under the reign of His Majesty Hesepti, triumphant, and it was found in the cavern of the mountain which Horus made for his father Osiris Un-Nefer, triumphant. Now since Ra looketh upon this deceased in his own flesh, he shall look upon him as the company of the gods. The fear of him shall be great, and the awe of him shall be mighty in the heart of men, and gods, and Khus, and the damned. He shall be with his soul, and shall live for ever. He shall not die a second time in the underworld, and on the day of weighing of words no evil hap shall befall him. He shall be triumphant over his enemies, and his sepulchral meal shall be upon the altar of Ra in the course of each day. day by day. End of chapters 121 through 130. Chapters 131 through 140 of the Egyptian Book of the Dead by E. A. Wallis Budge. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 131. Vignette. This chapter is without vignette, both in the Papyrus of Nu and in the Sa'ite Recension. Text. The chapter of having existence nigh unto Ra, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith, I am that god Ra, who shineth in the night. Every being who followeth in his train shall have life in the following of the god Thoth, and he shall give unto him the risings of Horus in the darkness. The heart of Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, is glad because he is one of those beings, and his enemies have been destroyed by the divine princes. I am a follower of Ra, and I have received his iron weapon. I have come unto thee, O my father Ra, and I have advanced to the god Shu. I have cried unto the mighty goddess. I have equipped the god Hu, and I alone have removed the Nebt god from the path of Ra. I am a Khu, and I have come to the divine prince at the bounds of the horizon. I have met and I have received the mighty goddess. I have raised up thy soul in the following of thy strength, and my soul liveth through thy victory and thy mighty power. It is I who give commands in speech to Ra in heaven. Homage to thee, O great God, in the east of heaven. Let me embark in thy boat, O Ra. Let me open myself out in the form of a divine hawk. Let me give my commands in words. Let me do battle in my Sekhem. Let me be master under my vine. Let me embark in thy boat, O Ra, in peace, and let me sail in peace to the beautiful Amentet. Let the god Tem speak unto me, saying, Wouldst thou enter therein? The lady, the goddess Mehen, is 1,000,000 of years, yea, 2,000,000 years in extent, and dwelleth in the house of Urt and Nifert, and in the lake of 1,000,000 years. The whole company of the gods move about among those who are at the side of him who is the Lord of divisions of places. And I say, on every road and among these millions of years is Ra the Lord, and his path is in the fire. And they go round about behind him, and they go round about behind him. Chapter 132. Vignette. The deceased standing before a house and holding a long staff in his hand. In the Brocklehurst Papyrus, the soul of the deceased, in the form of a human-headed bird, is seen hovering over a house, by the side of which is a tree. Text. The chapter of causing a man to come back to see his house upon earth. The Osiris Ani saith, I am the lion god, coming forth with extended strides. I have shot arrows, and I have wounded the prey. I have shot arrows, and I have wounded the prey. I am the eye of Horus, and I pass through the eye of Horus at this season. I have arrived at the furrows. Let the Osiris Ani advance in peace. Chapter 133. Vignette. The god Ra, hawk-headed, and having upon his head the sun's disk, encircled with a serpent, seated upon a throne in a boat. In his right hand he holds a scepter, and in the left the emblem of life. Above him is the legend, Ra in his shrine. Before him, but outside the boat, stands Nebseni, who maketh adoration to Ra each day, with both hands raised in adoration. Text: the book of making perfect the khu which is to be recited on the day of the month. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, saith: Ra riseth in his horizon, and his company of the gods follow after him. The god cometh forth out of his hidden habitations, and food falleth out of the eastern horizon of heaven. At the word of the goddess Nut, who maketh plain the paths of Ra, whereupon straightway the prince goeth round about. Lift up then thyself, O thou Ra, who dwellest in thy divine shrine. Draw thou into thyself the winds. Inhale the north wind. Swallow thou the skin of thy net on the day wherein thou breathest right and truth. Thou separatest the divine followers, and thou sailest in thy boat to Nut. The divine princes march onwards at thy word. Thou takest count of thy bones, thou gatherest together thy members. Thou settest thy face towards the beautiful Amentet, and thou comest being renewed each day. Behold, thou art that image of gold, and thou dost possess the splendors of the disks of heaven, and art terrible. Thou comest being renewed each day. Hail, the horizon rejoiceth, and there are shouts of joy in the rigging of thy boat. When the gods who dwell in the heavens see the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, they ascribe unto him as his due praises which are like unto those ascribed unto Ra. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, is a divine prince, and he seeketh the Ureret crown of Ra, and he, the only one, is strong in good fortune in that supreme body which is of those divine beings who are in the presence of Ra. The Osiris Nu is strong both upon earth and in the underworld, and the Osiris Nu is strong like unto Ra every day. The Osiris Nu shall not tarry, and he shall not lie without motion in this land for ever. Being doubly beautiful, he shall see with his two eyes, and he shall hear with his two ears. Rightly and truly, rightly and truly. The Osiris Nu is like unto Ra, and he setteth in order the oars of his boat among those who are in the train of Nu. He doth not tell that which he hath seen, and he doth not repeat that which he hath heard in the secret places. Hail, let there be shouts of joy to the Osiris Nu, who is of the divine body of Ra, as he journeyeth over Nu, and who propitiateth the ka of the god with that which he loveth. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, is a hawk, the transformations of which are mighty or manifold. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over a boat 4 cubits in length, and made of green porcelain, on which have been painted the divine sovereign chiefs of the cities, and a heaven with its stars shall also be made, and thus thou shalt have made ceremonially pure by means of natron and incense. And behold, thou shalt make an image of Ra in yellow color upon a new plaque, and set it at the bows of the boat. And behold, thou shalt place an image of the khu which thou dost wish to make perfect, and place it in this boat, and thou shalt make it to travel about in the boat, which shall be made in the form of the boat of Ra, and he shall see the god Ra himself therein. Let not the eye of any man whatsoever look upon it, with the exception of thine own self, or thy father, or thy son, and guard this with great care. Now these things shall make the khu perfect in the heart of Ra, and it shall give unto him power with the company of the gods, and the gods shall look upon him as a divine being like unto themselves, and mankind and the dead shall look upon him, and shall fall down upon their faces, and he shall be seen in the underworld in the form of the radiance of Ra. Chapter 134. Vignette: the boat of the sun, before which stand the deceased and his daughter. On the bows is perched the hawk of Horus, with the crown of the south upon his head. In the boat are the gods Shu, Tefnut, Seb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, and Hathor, human-headed, and Horus hawk-headed. In the Sa'ite Recension the gods in the boat are 9 in number, and behind them is the disk of the sun. Text: Another chapter of making perfect the Khu. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, saith: Homage to thee, O thou who art within thy divine shrine, who shinest with rays of light, and sendest forth radiance from thyself, who decreest joy for millions of years unto those who love him, who givest their hearts' desire unto mankind, thou god Khepera within thy boat, who hast overthrown Apep. O ye children of the god Seb, overthrow ye the enemies of Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, and destroy ye them from the boat of Ra, and the god Horus shall cut off their heads in heaven, where they are, in the form of feathered fowl, and their hind parts shall be on the earth in the form of animals, and in the lake in the form of fishes. Every male fiend and every female fiend shall the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, destroy, whether he descendeth from heaven, or whether he cometh forth from the earth, or whether they come upon the waters, or whether they advance towards the stars. The god Thoth, the son of Aner, coming forth from the Anerti, shall hack them in pieces. The Osiris Nu is silent and dumb. Cause ye this god, the mighty one of slaughter, the being greatly to be feared, to make himself clean in your blood, and to bathe himself in your gore, and ye shall certainly be destroyed by him from the boat of his father Ra. The Osiris Nu is the god Horus, to whom his mother the goddess Isis hath given birth, and whom the goddess Nephthys hath nursed and dandled, even like Horus when he repulsed the fiends of the god Suti. And when they see the Ureret crown stablished upon his head, they fall down upon their faces, and they glorify him. Behold, when men and gods and Khus and the dead see the Osiris Nu in the form of Horus with the Ureret crown stablished upon his head, they fall down upon their faces, and the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, is victorious over his enemies in the heights of heaven, and in the depths thereof, and before the divine sovereign chiefs of every god and of every goddess. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over a hawk standing and having the white crown upon his head, and over figures of Tem, Shu, Tefnut, Seb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, Suti, and Nephthys, painted in yellow color upon a new plaque, which shall be placed in a model of the boat of the sun, along with a figure of the deceased whom thou wouldst make perfect. These shalt thou anoint with cedar oil, and incense shall be offered up to them on the fire, and feathered fowl shall be roasted. It is an act of praise to Ra as he journeyeth, and it shall cause a man to have his being along with Ra day by day, whithersoever the god voyageth, and it shall destroy the enemies of Ra in very truth, regularly and continually. Chapter 135. Vignette. This chapter has no vignette. Text: Another chapter to be recited when the moon reneweth itself on the day of the month. The Osiris Auf Ankh, triumphant, saith: Osiris unfettereth, or as others say, openeth the storm cloud in the body of heaven, and is unfettered himself. Horus is made strong happily each day. He whose transformations are great or many hath offerings made unto him at the moment, and he hath made an end of the storm which is in the face of the Osiris Auf Ankh, triumphant. Verily he cometh, and he is Ra in his journeying, and he is the four celestial gods in the heavens above. The Osiris Auf Ankh, triumphant, cometh forth in his day, and he embarketh among the tackle of the boat. Rubric: if this chapter be known by the deceased, he shall become a perfect Khu in the underworld, and he shall not die therein a second time, and he shall eat his food side by side with Osiris. If this chapter be known by him upon earth, he shall be like unto Thoth, and he shall be adored by the living ones. He shall not fall headlong at the moment of royal flame of the goddess Bast, and the mighty princess shall make him to advance happily. Chapter 136a. Vignette. This chapter has no vignette in the Theban Recension. Text: Another chapter of travelling in the great boat of Ra. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, saith: Behold now, O ye luminaries in Annu, ye people in Kheraba, the god Ka hath been born, his cordage hath been completed, and the instrument wherewith he maketh his way hath he grasped firmly. I have protected the implements of the gods, and I have delivered the boat Ka for him. I have come forth into heaven, and I have travelled therein with Ra in the form of an ape, and have turned back the paths of Nut at the staircase of the god Sebek. Chapter 136a. Vignette. In the Theban Recension this chapter has no vignette, but in the Sa'ite Recension the deceased stands in the boat of the god Ra, who is seated therein. Text: Another chapter of making perfect the Khu. It shall be recited on the festival of Six. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, saith: Behold now, O ye luminaries in Annu, Heliopolis, ye people in Kheraba, the god hath been born, his cordage hath been completed, and the instrument wherewith he maketh his way he hath grasped firmly, and the Osiris Nu is strong with them to direct the implement of the gods. The Osiris Nu hath delivered the boat of the sun therewith, and he cometh forth into heaven. The Osiris Nu saileth round about in heaven. He travelleth therein unto Nut. He journeyeth along with Ra, and he voyageth therein in the form of apes. He turneth back the water flood which is over the thigh of the goddess Nut at the staircase of the god Sebaku. The hearts of Seb and Nut are glad, and repeat the name which is new. Un-Neferu reneweth his youth. Ra is in his splendours of light. Unti hath his speech, and Io, the god of the inundation, is prince among the gods. The taste of sweetness hath forced a way into the heart of the destitute one, and the lord of thy outcries hath been done away with, and the oars of the company of the gods are in vigorous motion. Adored be thou, O divine soul, who art endowed more than the gods of the south and north in their splendours. Behold, grant thou that the Osiris Nu may be great in heaven, even as thou art great among the gods. Deliver thou him from every evil and murderous thing which may be wrought upon him by the fiend, and fortify thou his heart. Grant thou, moreover, that the Osiris Nu may be stronger than all the gods, all the Khus, and all the dead. The Osiris Nu is strong, and is the lord of powers. The Osiris Nu is the lord of right and truth, which the goddess Uatchit worketh. The strength which protects the Osiris Nu is the strength which protects the god Ra in heaven. O god Ra, grant thou that the Osiris Nu may travel on in thy boat in peace, and do thou prepare a road whereon thy boat may journey onwards, for the force which protecteth Osiris is the force which protecteth thee. The Osiris Nu driveth back the crocodile from Ra day by day. The Osiris Nu cometh even as doth Horus in the splendours of the horizon of heaven, and he directeth Ra through the mansions of the sky. The gods rejoice greatly when the Osiris Nu repulseth the crocodile. The Osiris Nu hath the amulet of the god, and the cloud of Nebet shall not come nigh unto him, and the divine guardians of the mansions of the sky shall not destroy him. The Osiris Nu is a divine being whose face is hidden, and he dwelleth within the great house as the chief of the shrine of the god. The Osiris Nu carrieth the words of the gods to Ra, and he cometh and maketh supplication unto the divine Lord with the words of his message. The Osiris Nu is strong of heart, and he maketh his offering at the moment among those who perform the ceremonies of sacrifice. Rubric: this chapter shall be said over a figure of the deceased, which shall be placed in a model of the boat of the sun, and behold, he that reciteth it shall be washed and shall be ceremonially pure, and he shall have burnt incense before Ra, and shall have offered wine and cakes and roasted fowl for the journey of the deceased in the boat of Ra. Now every Khu for whom such things are done shall have an existence among the living ones, and he shall never perish, and he shall have a being like unto that of the holy God. No evil thing whatsoever shall attack him, and he shall be like unto a happy Khu in Amentet, and he shall not die a second time. He shall eat and he shall drink in the presence of Osiris each day. He shall be born along with the kings of the north and of the south each and every day. He shall quaff water at the fountainhead. He shall come forth by day even as doth Horus. He shall live and shall become like unto God, and he shall be hymned by the living ones even as is Ra, each and every day, continually and regularly forever. Chapter 136b. Vignette: a boat in which is the head of a hawk, emblematic of Ra, whereupon is a disk encircled by a serpent. Over the bows and stern are uchats, or symbolic eyes. Text: the chapter of sailing in the great boat of Ra to pass over the circle of bright flame. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, saith: Hail, ye bright and shining flames that keep your place behind Ra, and which slay behind him! The boat of Ra is in fear of the whirlwind and the storm. Shine ye forth, then, and make ye yourselves visible. I have come daily along with the god Sekhra from the bight of his holy lake, and I have seen the Maat goddesses pass along, and the lion gods who belong unto them. Hail, thou that dwellest in the coffer, who hast multitudes of plants! I have seen what is there. We rejoice, and their princes rejoice greatly, and their lesser gods are glad. I have made a way in front of the boat of Ra. I have lifted myself up into his divine disk. I shine brightly through his splendors. He hath furnished himself with the things which are his, taking possession thereof, as the Lord of right and truth. And behold, O ye company of the gods, and thou ancestor of the goddess Isis, grant ye that he may bear testimony to his father, the lord of those who are therein. I have weighed thee in him as chief, and I have brought to him the goddess Tefnut, and he liveth. Behold, come, come, and declare before him the testimony of right and truth of the Lord Tem. I cry out at eventide, and at his hour, saying, Grant ye unto me that I may come. I have brought unto him the jaws of the passages of the tomb. I have brought unto him the bones which are in Anu, Heliopolis. I have gathered together for him his manifold parts. I have driven back for him the serpent fiend Apep. I have spit upon his gashes for him. I have made my road, and I have passed in among you. I am he who dwelleth among the gods. Come, let me pass onwards in the boat of the Lord Sa. Behold, O Heru, there is a flame, but the fire hath been extinguished. I have made my road, O ye divine fathers, and your divine apes. I have entered upon the horizon, and I have passed on to the side of the divine princes, and I have borne testimony unto him that dwelleth in his divine boat. I have gone forward over the circle of bright flame, which is behind the lord of the lock of hair, which moveth round about. Behold, ye who cry out over yourselves, ye worms in your hidden places, grant ye that I may pass onwards, for I am the mighty one, the Lord of divine strength, and I am the spiritual body, Sa, of the Lord of divine right and truth, made by the goddess Uatchit. His strength which protecteth is my strength which protecteth, which is the strength which protecteth Ra. Grant ye that I may be in the following of Ra, and grant ye that I may go round about with him in Sekhet Hetep and in the two lands. I am a great god, and I have been judged by the company of his gods. Grant that divine sepulchral meals may be given unto me. Chapter 137a. Vignette: four men, each holding a flame, standing in the presence of a god before whom are four pools or lakes. Text: the chapter of the four blazing flames which are made for the Khu. Behold, thou shalt make four square troughs of clay, whereon thou shalt scatter incense, and thou shalt fill them with the milk of a white cow, and by means of these thou shalt extinguish the flame. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, saith: The fire cometh to thy Ka, O Osiris, governor of Amenti. The fire cometh to thy Ka, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant. He that ordereth the night cometh after the day. The flame cometh to thy Ka, O Osiris, governor of those in Amenti. And the two sisters of Ra come likewise. Behold, the flame riseth in Abtu Abydos, and it cometh, and I cause it to come to the eye of Horus. It is set in order upon thy brow, O Osiris, governor of Amenti, and it is fixed within thy shrine, and riseth upon thy brow. It is set in order upon thy breast, O Osiris Nu, and it is fixed upon thy brow. The eye of Horus is protecting thee, O Osiris, governor of Amenti, and it keepeth thee in safety. It casteth down headlong all thine enemies for thee, and all thine enemies have fallen headlong before thee. O Osiris Nu, the eye of Horus protecteth thee, it keepeth thee in safety, and it casteth down headlong all thine enemies. Thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thy Ka, O Osiris, governor of Amenti. The eye of Horus protecteth thee, it keepeth thee in safety, and it hath cast down headlong all thine enemies. Thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thy Ka, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant. The eye of Horus protecteth thee, it keepeth thee in safety, it hath cast down headlong for thee all thine enemies, and thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thee. The eye of Horus cometh, it is sound and well, and it sendeth forth rays like unto Ra in the horizon. It covereth over with darkness the powers of Suti, it taketh possession thereof, and it bringeth this flame against him upon its feet. The eye of Horus is sound and well, thou eatest the flesh of thy body by means thereof, and thou givest praise thereto. The four flames enter into thy Ka, O Osiris, governor of Amenti. The four flames enter into thy Ka, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant. Hail, ye children of Horus, Mesthi, Hapi, Tuamartef, and Kebesenoth. Ye have given your protection unto your divine father Osiris, the governor of Amenti. Grant ye your protection to the Osiris Nu triumphant. Now therefore, inasmuch as ye have destroyed the opponents of Osiris, the governor of Amenti, he liveth with the gods, and he hath smitten Suti with his hand and arm since light dawned upon the earth. And Horus hath gotten power, and he hath avenged his divine father Osiris himself. And inasmuch as your divine father hath been made vigorous through the union which ye have effected for him with the Ka of Osiris, the governor of Amenti, now the eye of Horus hath avenged him, and it hath protected him, and it hath cast down headlong for him all his enemies, and all his enemies have fallen down before him. Even so do ye destroy the opponents of the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant. Let him live with the gods, let him smite down his enemy, let him destroy him when light dawneth upon the earth. Let Horus gain power, and avenge the Osiris Nu. Let the Osiris Nu have vigor through the union which ye have effected for him with his Ka. O Osiris Nu, the eye of Horus hath avenged thee, it hath cast down headlong all thine enemies for thee, and all thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thee. Hail, Osiris, governor of Amenti, grant thou light and fire to the happy soul which is in Sutton Henan, Heracleopolis. And, O ye children of Horus, grant ye power unto the living soul of the Osiris Nu within his flame. Let him not be repulsed, and let him not be driven back at the doors of Amentet. O let his offerings of bread and of linen garments be brought unto him among those of the lords of funeral oblations. O offer ye praises as unto a god to the Osiris Nu, destroyer of his opponents in his form of right and truth, and in his attributes of a god of right and truth. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over 4 fires made of Atma cloth, which hath been anointed with Hatet unguent of the Henu, and they shall be placed in the hands of 4 men, who shall have the names of the pillars of Horus written upon their shoulders, and they shall burn the fires in the beautiful rays of Ra. This shall confer power and might upon the Khu among the stars which never set. If this chapter be recited for him, he shall never fail, and he shall become a living soul forever, and these fires shall make the Khu as vigorous as Osiris, the governor of Amenti, regularly and continually forever. It is a great struggle. Thou shalt not perform this ceremony before any human being except thine own self, or thy father, or thy son, because it is an exceedingly great mystery of Amentet, and it is a type of the hidden things of the underworld. For when this ceremony hath been performed, the gods and the Khus and the dead shall see him in the form of the governor of Amenti, and he shall have power and dominion like this god. If thou shalt undertake to perform for him what is ordered in this chapter of the 4 blazing flames each day, thou wilt cause the form of the deceased to come forth from every hall in the underworld and from the 7 halls of Osiris, and he shall have an existence in the form of the god. He shall have power and dominion corresponding to that of the gods and the Khus for ever and ever. He shall enter in through the hidden pylons, and shall not be turned back before the god Osiris. And it shall come to pass, if these things have been done for him, that he shall enter in and come forth. He shall not be turned back. No limit to his journeying shall be set, and he shall not have sentence of evil passed upon him on the day of the weighing of words before the god Osiris for ever and ever. And thou shalt perform what is ordered in this book for the deceased, and he shall become perfect and pure, and thou shalt open his mouth with the iron instrument, and shalt write down these writings in accordance with the things which are found in the books of the royal son Heru-ta-ta-f, who discovered them in a hidden chest. Now they were in the handwriting of the god himself, in the temple of the goddess Unut, the lady of Unu, Hermopolis, during his journey to make an inspection of the temples and of the lands and of the funeral shrines of the gods. And these things shall be done secretly in the underworld. They are mysteries of the underworld, and they are a type of the mysteries of Neter Khert. And thou shalt say, I have come advancing quickly and casting light upon his footsteps, and hiding myself to cast light upon his hidden place. I stand up behind the Tet. I stand up behind the Tet of Ra, turning back the slaughter. I am protecting thee, O Osiris. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over a Tet of crystal, which is set upon a brick made of green clay, whereupon hath been inscribed this chapter. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the west wall, and having turned the front of the Tet towards the east, therein thou shalt wall it up with earth moistened with cedar juice. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the east wall. And thou shalt say, I have driven back thy foes, and I have kept watch for thee. And he that is upon his mountain, that is Anubis, hath kept watch at thy moment, and hath repulsed thy foes for thee. I have driven back Crocodile for thee at thy moment, and I am protecting thee, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over a figure of Anubis made of green clay, kneaded with incense and set up on a brick of green clay, whereupon it hath been inscribed. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the east wall, and having turned the face of Anubis towards the west therein, thou shalt wall it up. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the southwest wall. And thou shalt say, I am the collar or girdle of sand around the hidden coffer, turning back the arm from the blazing flame of the funeral mountain. I have marched over the roads, and I am protecting the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over a brick of green clay, whereupon it hath been inscribed, and thou shalt place incense in the middle thereof, and thou shalt smear it with pitch or resin, and set light to it. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the south wall, and having turned the front of the brick towards the north therein, thou shalt wall it up. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the north wall. And thou shalt say, O thou that comest to make a burning, I will not let thee do it. O thou that comest to shoot forth fire, I will not let thee do it. I will burn thee, I will shoot forth fire at thee, for I am protecting the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over a brick of green clay, whereupon it hath been inscribed, along with a figure of a palm tree 7 fingers in height, and thou shalt open its mouth. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the north wall, and having turned the face of the figure towards the south, therein thou shalt wall it up. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the south wall. And behold, these things shall be performed by a man who is clean and is ceremonially pure, one who hath eaten neither meat nor fish, and who hath not recently had intercourse with women. And behold, thou shalt make offerings of cakes and ale, and shalt burn incense on the fire of these gods. And every Khu for whom these things shall be done shall become like a holy god in the underworld. He shall not be turned back at any gate in Amentet, and he shall be in the following of Osiris, wheresoever he goeth, regularly and continually. Chapter 137b. Vignette: the goddess Api, the lady who giveth protection, in the form of a hippopotamus, setting light to a vessel of incense. In the Sa'ite Recension the deceased is seen sitting upon a chair with two burning lamps on each side of him. There the chapter is called Chapter of making the flame to burn up. Text: the chapter of kindling of flame by Nebseni, the scribe and draughtsman in the temple of Ptah. He saith: the white or shining eye of Horus cometh. The brilliant eye of Horus cometh. It cometh in peace. It sendeth forth rays of light unto Ra in the horizon, and it destroyeth the powers of Set according to the decree. It leadeth them on, and it taketh possession of him, and its flame is kindled against him. Its flame cometh and goeth about, and bringeth adoration. It cometh and goeth about heaven in the train of Ra, upon the two hands of thy two sisters, O Ra. The eye of Horus liveth, yea, liveth within the great hall. The eye of Horus liveth, yea, liveth, and is on Mount F. Chapter 138. Vignette: the standard emblematic of the nome of Teni, the capital of which was Abydos, surmounted by plumes and uraeus, etc., being set up by Isis and Osiris. On each side winged uchats, a fan or fly flapper held upright by an emblem of life, from which project human hands and arms. The hawk emblematic of Horus Sept, a ram having plumes above his horns, and three gods standing upright. On one side are the souls of Pe, and the jackal, emblem of Anpu, Anubis, or of Apuat, and on the other are the souls of Tep, and the jackal, emblem of Apuat, or of Anpu. Beneath the standard are the lion gods of the horizon, one of whom is called Yesterday, and the other Tomorrow. Text: the chapter of entering into Abtu, and of being in the following of Osiris. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the house, the chancellor in chief, triumphant, saith: Hail, ye gods who dwell in Abtu (Abydos), ye divine sovereign chiefs who are gathered together, come ye forward with joy and gladness to meet me, and look ye upon my divine father Osiris. I have been judged, and I have come forth from his shrine. I am Horus, the lord of Kempt, Egypt, and of the red hilly desert. I have taken possession thereof. There is none who hath power over him. His eye is mighty against his enemies. He hath avenged his divine father. He hath destroyed the water flood of his mother. He hath crushed his enemies. He hath put down violence mightily, and hath still the strength of the god Nebet. The divine prince of many peoples, the sovereign of the two lands, hath taken possession of the house of his divine father by means of the written decrees. I have been tried in the balance. My word is right and true. I have gained the mastery over my enemies, and bring to naught the things which they work against me. I am strong in the strength which protecteth me. I am the son of Osiris, and my divine father protecteth his body with strength and might. Chapter 139. See Chapter 123. Chapter 140. Vignette: the deceased kneeling with both hands raised in adoration before the jackal of Anubis, which is couchant on a pylon, a kneeling figure having an uchat on his head, and the god Ra. Text: the book which is to be recited on the last day of the second month of the season Pert, when the uchat is full in the second month of the season Pert. The Osiris Auf Ankh saith: the divine power hath risen and shineth in the horizon, and the god Tem hath risen out of the odour of that which floweth from him. The Khus shine in heaven, and Het Ben Benet rejoiceth, for there is among them a form which is like unto themselves, and there are shouts and cries of gladness within the shrine, and the sounds of those who rejoice go round about through the underworld, and homage is paid unto him at the decree of Tem and Heru Khuti Harmachis. His Majesty ordereth the company of the gods to follow in the train of his Majesty. His Majesty ordereth the calling of the uchat with you to my members. He hath given strength to all my limbs, and hath made them vigorous, that which cometh forth from the mouth of his Majesty. His divine eye resteth upon its seat with his Majesty at that hour of the night, on the day of the fulfillment of the fourth hour, or 4 hours of the beautiful land, on the last day of the second month of the season Pert. The majesty of the Uchat is in the presence of the company of the gods, and his majesty shineth as he shone in the primeval time, when the Uchat was first upon his head. Ra Tem Uchatep Shu Seb Osiris Suti Horus Menth Ba Raher Nehe Tehuti Naam Techeta Nut Isis Nephthys Hathor Nekhet Mert Maat Ampu and Ta Mescheta are the soul and body of Ra. The computation of the Uchat hath been made in the presence of the divine Lord of this earth. It is full to the uttermost, and it resteth or setteth. And these gods are rejoicing on this day, and they have their hands beneath them. And the festival of every god having been celebrated, they say, Hail, praise be unto thee, O thou who art as Ra. Rejoice in him, for the mariners of his boat sail round about, and he hath overthrown the fiend Apep. Hail, praise be unto thee, O thou who art as Ra, who maketh himself to come into being in the form of the god Khepera. Hail, praise be unto thee, O thou who art as Ra, for he hath destroyed his enemies. Hail, praise be unto Ra, for he hath crushed the heads of the children of impotent rebellion. And praise and rejoicing be unto the Osiris Auf Ankh triumphant. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over an Uchat of real lapis lazuli, or of mock stone plated with gold, before which shall be offered every kind of fair and pure oblation, when Ra showeth himself on the last day of the second month of the season Pert. And thou shalt make another Uchat of jasper, and place it upon such part of the dead man's body as thou pleasest. And when this chapter hath been recited before the boat of Ra, the deceased shall be borne along with these gods, and he shall become one of them, and he shall be made to rise up in the underworld. And whilst this chapter is being recited, and likewise whilst the offerings are being made, at the time when the Uchat is full, 4 altars shall be lighted for Ra Tem, and 4 for the Uchat, and 4 for the gods who have been mentioned, and upon each of them shall there be bread cakes made of fine flour, and 5 white cakes and plants, and 5 white cakes and shy, and 5 bach, and of incense 1 measure, and of tek incense 1 measure, and 1 roasted joint of meat. End of chapters 131 through 140.